Hello and welcome to the Little Netscape channel. Today we're going to take a look at Anki, which is a spaced repetition system flashcard program. It's a really useful program but does have a fairly steep learning curve. First we'll download and install Anki and then look at the basic features. At the end of the video you'll be ready to get started with it yourself. So first you want to go to apps.ankiweb.net, and if you click the download button at the top, choose your operating system, and then the latest version is in a sort of darker blue button, so click that and wait for the install file to download. When it's downloaded, just left click to launch the install file and click install. When it's finished, we'll just click close. Now you can launch Anki and choose your interface language. For this video I'm going to use UK English, and then you just confirm your choice. The Anki interface is pretty basic, but let's just go through some of the basics. First, you'll want to make a deck, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a group of cards. To create your deck, simply click Create Deck at the bottom, enter a name, we'll use Japanese sentences, and then click OK. Now you will see your new deck in the deck list, but at the moment it is just an empty deck. It doesn't have any cards. Before we start creating cards, there is an important distinction to learn with Anki. There are both notes and cards in Anki. A card is an individual item that you'll study, but a note is basically how you edit the card. There can be multiple cards for one note. This will make more sense as we continue, but it is a useful thing to be aware of while we start adding notes and cards. To make a card, you simply click Add at the top, and because we're in the deck already, it will just add any new notes and their associated cards straight into this deck. Anki has 5 different note types. The first one, Basic, which is just a one-card note with a front side and then just an answer on the back. There's a Basic and Reversed card, which is a 2-card note. There's 1 card for the front and there is 1 card for the back. Then we have Basic brackets Optional Reversed card, which is essentially the same as the Basic and the Basic and Reversed card, and you just choose whether you'll have a 1 or 2 card note. Next we've got the Basic Type in Answer note type. This will create 1 card and you'll be prompted to type the answer into Anki when you're being tested. And finally we have the Close note type. This is a really useful note type that allows you to create a gap fill exercise to test the information that you're learning. We'll look at that in more detail when we start adding the cards. So what we'll do is we'll add 1 of each so you can see what they look like more easily. And so let's choose our note type and we'll click Choose. Enter our sentence on the front. Then we'll enter what we're learning on the back. And finally you can add some tags for easier sorting later. And when you're finished, we just click Add. Now we'll continue on to adding our next type of card. We'll go for the Basic and Reversed. So as you can see, nothing has changed, but it will create 2 separate cards, 1 card for the front and 1 card for the information on the back. And we'll just use the same sentence, but we'll test it in a slightly different way. And then again, we just click Add. And as I said before, this will give 2 cards, one with the Japanese sentence on the front and the other with the English sentence on the front. Okay, now the third note type, we have Basic and Optional Reversed. So here it looks a little different. We have a field for front, for back, and for reverse. Basically, it's doing the same as the basic and reversed card, but it's optional. If you leave the add reverse field blank, the note will generate one front to back card. If you add something into the add reverse, then it will make a back to front card as well, using the information you put in that field. Now next we'll have a look at the basic type in the answer. This note type is back to just having a front and a back, and it will prompt you to type in to a box what you've put on the back of the card. And finally we'll have a look at the close type. Here we're going to change things a little. Okay, first we have the text field, and we'll put our sentence in there. Now we have the back field, which is extra. If we want it, you don't actually need to put anything in there, but we'll put the English in there. Now, if we click Add Now, we won't have actually created a closed note. For that, we need to actually choose what we're learning from this sentence. In this sentence, we're trying to learn the phrase Yasumi ni hairu. So we highlight that section and then click the ellipsis between the brackets above. And as you can see, it's now surrounded the highlighted section with curly brackets. When we are tested on this card, this section will be replaced with an ellipsis, and we'll be testing what goes in that gap. You can actually add as many closed sections as you want onto an individual sentence, and what Anki will do is we'll create one card for every close section you add. It's really useful to test yourself on several elements of a single sentence and to add those cards very quickly using Anki. Now, if we go back to our deck, we can see that the created cards are now in the deck and they're listed under new. And if you remember, we used 5 note types, but there are 7 cards. So obviously 2 of our notes have 2 cards associated with them. So before we start studying our cards, we're just going to quickly preview them. So you can manage the notes and cards that you create and make changes, etc. by clicking on the browse at the top. A new window opens and there's different ways to view your notes. You have the whole collection, which at the moment will just show us our 7 cards. That's all we have at the moment. This will also show you when those cards are due to be studied and the deck that they're in. You'll also notice that at the bottom we have 2 extra groups. We have comprehension with a comma and phrase. These are the tags we created. These can also be edited after the fact. So when you create a tag, you simply leave a space. I've added a comma here and I want to get rid of that comma. So if we click on comprehension, it'll show us all the cards that are tagged with comprehension, and in this situation comprehension with a comma, which we can just go through each note and delete the comma off. So here I've also created a few more essentially duplicate tags, just to show you how to get rid of tags that you're not using anymore. So in order to do that, you simply click at the top and you can click to remove unused tags just like that. Okay. Now the other thing you can do is you can preview the cards in the browse section, and this will show you more or less what the card will look like when you're studying it. So as we can see, if we click here is the front of the basic card, and if we click the arrow at the bottom, we'll see the back of the card. This is how it will look after you've answered the card when you're being tested. And then we have the reverse note. We have the first card here and the answer And then we have the second card and the answer for the second card. Here is the optional reverse, which is exactly the same as the reversed card option because we entered information into the reverse field. And now we have the type in answer. As you can see, it's not prompting us to type anything in, but it will do when we test it. You'll see that in a minute. Finally, we have the close type. Here you can see the ellipsis in blue. And if you click the arrow, you'll then see the full sentence with the close highlighted in blue. And it'll also display any information you put on the back. Okay, so now we've created a deck, we've created some cards, and we've browsed those cards and tidied up the tags a little bit. Let's have a look at studying these cards. So here we can just go into the deck and click Study Now, and that it will show you the cards, it will test you the cards in random order, and when you have the answer, you simply click Show Answer. It will display the answer, and then you have to decide how well you did. Basically, the system is if you got it wrong, click again. If you got it after a little bit of time, click Good. And finally, if it was very quick, you just click Easy. Now, this decision is completely subjective, but it is quite important for how Anki works. So do try to be honest, as the answer as to how well you knew the information will alter how long it takes before Anki will test you again on that card. And so we'll just say that this card was good. Now here we can see the type in card. So we simply type in the field and hit enter. As you can see, it compares what we typed in to the answer on the back. We got this one right, it's highlighted in green. And so if we just run through all the cards quickly, and now if you look at the bottom, you can actually see the intervals changing. These are cards that we said were good. And so now if we say it's good again, it will be tested in a day, or if we say it's easy, it will be tested in 4 days. When you've studied all the cards, it will take you back to the deck view and it will display this congratulations screen. Okay, so now we've added our decks, we've added our cards, we've studied our cards. We actually do have some stats that we can have a look at. So here is a summary of how we did today. There's quite a lot going on in the stats section, so we'll probably go through the stats in another video, or obviously explore them yourself. They're sort of an optional extra, but it is useful just to monitor your progress and maybe also monitor particular card types. Are you doing well with them? Are they harder, easier, etc.? Okay, and if you actually go straight to the deck list, it does give you a small summary just below all of your decks. So that about covers it for the Anki basics. I highly recommend looking into it. It may seem like a more sort of boring version of like Memorize or any of those other apps, but its potential is massive when compared to those other systems. You can really personalize your cards. You can create cards that really useful, and you can decide what you are going to learn and test yourself very easily. Anki has a ton of features, so we will be looking at more features in other videos, so do keep your eye out for more Anki tutorials. But for today, that will do us. So thanks for watching. Matane.